making sure we're straight. I'm going to pull this up on here now. It should show up on here now. Okay. And then we can look at the chat on here. So we'll wait for a few minutes in case anybody joins us. If not, we just won't stay.
Okay.
All right, come on. Where are you? Should be showing up. There we go. Now the trick is to turn this the whole way down so I don't hear myself echo. And then we can watch it. Oh, there's like a few seconds. Okay, good. But let's see how I can see the whole chat there, so that makes it so much easier.
Okay.
Alrighty, we're gonna talk about Leah's Choice in a minute. There's 2 watching. So who else is here? Say hi if you can. Okay, that's my brother.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird to see both of these. It's distracting. If you can say hi in the chat, say hi in the chat. And we'll wait about 5 minutes and then we'll start. We're going to talk about Leah's Choice. Book 1 in the Pleasant Valley series by Marta Perry. And actually, I wonder if I could find out how many she has of these. Just look on here real quick. Let's see here. Books. I'm looking to see, here we go, how many are in this series. See, here's The Promised Land. This one is 2009, right? Yes, and she's made more since then. We just read her bio. She's not making books right now. She's enjoying being a grandma. But she has more like mystery kind of stuff too. We could do that, maybe try that. Like the newer ones. These are all kind of like excitement and mystery, which I like. Okay, the Brides, The House of Secret, Keeper the Promise, Watchers in the Dark. There's a lot of series. Here's a whole almost suspense.
Oh.
I feel like
Wow.
these would be probably interesting, I think, to try.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. So yeah, we have Leah's Choice. Wow, there's 7. There's 7 of these books. Maybe we can read them all like throughout the year and then talk about them in December.
Right.
And do like other ones in between. That's a lot. I would like to. The next one's Rachel's Garden. And I'm not going to give it away unless you want me to, but there's a reason I want to read that one. Anna's Return, that kind of gives that away. But that's the only 2 I think I feel like I need to read as far as like answering the next part of their journey. Okay, can you all hear me? Let me know if you can't hear. Make sure this is on volume. What's that say? Turn up a little bit. Oh, sorry. So strange to see that. All right, let me read the back of it a while. The blessings of lasting tradition or the challenge of something new. Okay, let me read that. I'm going to ask her a question. All of Pleasant Valley seems to think the newcomer from Lancaster County is the perfect match for teacher Leah. After all, so few new families come to their secluded Amish community, and fewer still unmarried men. That Daniel Glick is a widower with 3 young children to look after while he manages his farm should make him even more open to the idea of marriage. But Daniel's past haunts him at every turn, though he cannot miss the beauty in Leah's bright eyes and patient ways. He also sees a reminder of the pain he came so far to escape. And Leah has a burden on her heart that could daunt even someone as strong and steady as Daniel. Years ago, she was engaged to Johnny Kyle, a young man who became swept up in the outside world, leaving her behind alone and brokenhearted. Since then, she has immersed herself in her love of the children, which she teaches, forgetting any hopes of having her own family. When Johnny returns seeking reconciliation, Leah suddenly must decide between 2 pathways, either of which will change her life forever. And ever and ever and ever and ever. All right.
That's what those men do.
Yes. We'll just start talking about this. So my first question to you is, when you first read this and Johnny first came and showed up at her school while Daniel was there, and you heard about her emotions, did you think, if you had to guess which way she was going to go, did you have a guess which way she was going to go?
Between her and Daniel?
Yeah, between Johnny and Daniel.
Yeah, I was hoping it was Daniel and not Johnny.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think that he was going to be returning.
Hi, Melissa. Just saw that you're on there. So what did you think of Johnny versus Daniel when you first started reading this? She thought Daniel... I think I'm a rebel because I was like, just go for it. Go back to Johnny, your first love, and go become a teacher somewhere. Part of me was like, I kind of like this book in the way that I've always wondered, because I've never read any Beverly Lewis's book like this. There has to be people who have a calling to be a doctor, or to be serve in a different way, or become any kind, where you have to get a higher education. That just to me, that just has to happen sometimes in the Amish community. I'm glad she actually talked about that in a way, as far as Johnny was concerned. Yeah. Like, to me, those were good reasons. I didn't like how they kind of shed him in a negative light in that way, because I know he broke people's hearts. But my point was, I was just like, let's be rebellious and do something different. Although I figured she'd end up with Daniel.
Yeah.
So, Melissa, if you can leave a comment, let me know what you thought, if you thought it was going to be Daniel or Johnny, and then, or if you change your mind throughout the book. Like, I honestly thought sometimes she might go back, but she didn't. Yep. So, so I know it takes longer, when you leave a comment, it takes longer to show up. So I'll keep checking, though. I have it down here so I can see it. So yeah, I was like, so I guess that's my first comment, was that I didn't like exactly how it portrayed him, you know, as being so awful when he was doing good things. That's just my opinion. Yeah. Because he was doing good stuff. But, so, yeah, I like the fact that we kind of did a different thing this time, of someone who actually left for almost higher education and making a difference in the world, so to speak.
Right, and not just to flee all the rules and regulations. Yeah,
right. Exactly. Like Anna seems to be going, she left, it seems, more for that reason. Yeah. She doesn't want to be tied down, she wants freedom. And then, but I feel like he made a good choice, just that he hurt people along the way. Right. So, anyway, Melissa, let me know if you have any comments about that. So we were talking about this too. The language was a little different as far as the way she said things versus like Beverly Lewis books. Some of the, well, they have a whole thing back here.
Yeah.
What's it called? Like a, not an index. Where is it? There it is.
There you go.
All right.
The glossary. That's like
even like, okay, let's see if we can find one that I know says it differently. Well, Madel's the same. Mm-hmm. But is ma'am different?
Ma'am in the...
Is it M-A-M?
And usually it's dat. D-A-T.
Yes.
And it was daddy almost the whole time.
So you're right. See,
and mammy, yeah.
Yeah. See, D-A-A-D-I was daddy, where she's right, it was dat, D-A-T, when we read like the more Lancaster County.
Yeah.
That was one thing I noticed. And then what else? This might have been similar. I wish I should have another book in here that had some stuff. The cap was the same, I think. I think cum is the same, like K-O-M-M.
Yeah.
Allspun was the same. Befuddled, we knew that one. Bopley was the same.
Mm-hmm.
Brooder, but that was, I never saw the
I didn't see that in there. Yeah.
The buff for boy. Ack. I guess Ack's the same?
Yeah.
So yeah, there were a few words that I had never read before in any other books I've read that were Amish based. And yeah, like she said, they said a couple things differently. And I kept like saying it wrong in my mind when I was reading it. It was different than I think that they were saying it. Okay, so we were talking about the fact that this is a different location. And I'm assuming it's like central Pennsylvania somewhere. I don't know. It doesn't give you a specific location, but we know it's not in Lancaster County. And Daniel comes from Lancaster County. So...
Right, okay, yeah.
I don't know how far away it was. Do you remember if they mentioned how far away it was? I mean, I don't know. We don't know. We know it's in Pennsylvania. We know it's not, but... And so we looked up Marta Perry to see maybe where she grew up, whereas like Beverly Lewis really knows Lancaster County because she lived there for a while. It didn't say that Marta Perry lived in Lancaster County, but she has roots that were, what did it say? Oh, I changed it.
Yeah.
But she lives in rural Pennsylvania, so we knew somewhere in Pennsylvania in the country she lived.
Roots in the Amish community.
Yes, so she has some connections there. See, this I never heard. L-E-I-T is the people, the Amish.
Yeah.
Lead. I've never heard that word either. For hoodled.
For hoodled, yes.
Madagascar?
Yeah.
Madagascar.
Yeah.
Never heard that either. Yeah, I feel like even mom is different. Like the ma'am, but I could be wrong. All right. Okay, Melissa, there we go. I think it is interesting about the genetics. There are a lot of different disorders, since many are related in some way. Yes. Yep. I thought that maybe she would decide to go back to him, but later in the story I changed her mind. Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking too. Like, just to be different. Because we kind of always know who's going to end up, and a lot of times these stories are somewhat predictable. I was like, let's do something different and let's just go crazy and do something crazy. But she was so intertwined with that community. She was so connected to her community that it'd be really hard for her to leave, because she would have been shunned for sure.
join
Okay.
church.
Yes, yeah. So Melissa, you don't know for sure either where they are. Yeah, it's just somewhere. I think it was somewhere north. I feel like it was north of Lancaster somewhere. But Pennsylvania's a big state, so many places. What were we just talking about? Before I talked about the direction again.
The disorders.
Oh yes. So yes. I know. I
I
don't
never
really.
even thought about that.
It is true.
Yeah,
And
makes sense.
I mean, I've heard of them sending groups of men to other like counties or even states, and vice versa, to help break up the marriages for that reason. But yeah, I wonder if that's. I mean, I wonder if there is actually people studying that. It'd be interesting. But I thought that was a neat way to do the book in a way, to have it be like something that where they're trying to help the children and.
Yeah.
Because it was very specific. I mean, there's a very specific disorders they mentioned, and I should have probably researched that.
I know.
That'd been a good thing to talk about. So I'm just going to tell you now that I hadn't read this in like 3 weeks, and then I didn't take notes. I thought we'll just use the discussion guide this time, and just so we don't have such a long live stream. Well, the discussion guides are not available because this book is so old that like her discussion guides are like archived, and so we have no. We have no official discussion guide tonight. So we're just going to wing this and talk about it and see what you guys think. Like, maybe we can do this. How about scale 1 to 10? What would you guys give this book as far as, like, your typical Amish community book? I would say, like, a 6? 6, maybe? I like some things about it, but it was just different than I'm used to. It wasn't as descriptive as I like. I like it being a lot more descriptive about the area. And then... maybe a little more negative on some parts.
Yeah.
So what would you give it?
Yeah, I would probably
Go
about
lower or higher?
5 or 6
5 or
because
6.
like you, well, me, I enjoy delving into the Amish community because of their pureness and sweetness, and it's kind of a little bit of a a getaway from
It's like an escape, yes.
our world. Yes, an escape from our world of negative and everybody's, grumpy and, so it's nice to have all that sweetness, even if that's not how they are.
Right.
I just enjoy the
It's a
escape.
book for a reason. You read books for a reason.
Yes.
So yeah, Melissa, let us know what you think. Like scale 1 to 10, what would you give this book? And whoever else is watching, like honestly,
I enjoyed the storyline though. I did enjoy the storyline.
Yeah.
So maybe I was a little harsh. Maybe I'd go a 6.
So we talked about the area, unspecified. They talk a little different. Kind of our overall take. Maybe like. I don't know, have any of you, I just thought that it was interesting. I like the fact that it was a very caring book as far as like people who've had trauma, who've lost a parent, like the kids, how they reacted to that, and how little Elizabeth, she was such a low perfectionist, and she just kind of broke. I appreciate that as far as the kids, because you lose a parent and that's trauma, and you have to deal with that somehow, and it was just caring to me to see how much Leah cared, and but how much Daniel, like you can see the parent like hovering because he was so afraid of his kids going English. Like, were you guys surprised about? It didn't take me too long to figure out that the mom must have taken them, or no, I figured out that they must have been, living in the English world somehow. But I was surprised that she died in the way she did. Like that's pretty traumatic. Pretty traumatic. So. That was kind of a hard thing to. I mean, that's just unheard of. Like, I've never read of a Amish mom in any books or anywhere. I've never heard of Amish mom taking their kids to be English. Like, that's unusual. Yeah, I would say. So that was a bit of a surprise when I read that part. Some of it you could kind of piece together, but her dying, like as she's out drinking, was pretty much a blow, I think.
Yeah, and I had to keep reminding myself that this was like their move was very recent from, because what it was 6 months earlier she had died, and I had, because you keep thinking, well, it might have been a year or so before they moved on, but it was very very soon after he got them back that they decided to move.
Right. What did you think of, like, the way, so the one woman at the clinic that used to be Amish?
Lydia.
Lydia, thank you. Because she had a good relationship with her people, right?
Yes.
So she left the Amish church to make a difference in the world and get higher education. But, and that she had good relationships with her family, but Johnny had, like, no relationship with his family, and they were, like, still not even wanting to see him when he came back. Like, I thought that was a little harsh, too, the treatment of Johnny. And I don't know if it's just that family was different, because I told her before we went live that I'm under the impression that when you grow up Amish and you go through your Rumspringa, and if you decide not to become Amish and just go a different direction, before you get baptized and join the church, you're not shunned, you're just living a different life. I'm sure they're disappointed, but there's no shunning in that. The shunning happens when you're already a baptized member and you do something, pretty grievously wrong, or you leave. So I didn't quite understand the whole shunning of Johnny in a way. I guess it must have been a personal thing with that family, because I was like, I don't think that's how it normally works. Maybe you guys know better. I feel like it's only a shunning when you already are a baptized member of the church. So, let me know what you think. If you agree with that, or you think that it can happen no matter whether you're baptized or not first. I guess is my question.
It's in the back.
Was it? Okay. You can look there. So, Melissa said, you thought it was a 7, it was a good book. Okay. I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, it was. It had a lot of good storyline, and I thought Leah was a great character. I don't know why, but Daniel kind of got on my nerves.
Yeah.
He was just like, I don't know. I guess I was just harsh because I was kind of rooting for their first love for a while, so I was like critical of Daniel, I think. But then he kind of grew on me. So I said, like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, because I can understand being cautious and being a little shut down and not wanting to get close, but every time that he interacted with her, it was just harsh and curt, and like there was no grace whatsoever, or just being kind.
No, you're right. That's probably why I had a problem with it. I was just like,
and Leah was the same way with him.
Yeah,
they were both very offensive towards one another. Just like, calm down, guys.
Yeah, that's probably why I was rooting for Johnny for a while, because he was like happy where he was. He was excited to make a difference, and I was like, maybe she'll do this. Maybe she'll make the leap. But I think if she could have made the leap without having consequences, that'd be different.
Yeah.
But losing like your whole life there and losing all the connections you had, it's just too much.
Yeah.
Just too much. All right. Melissa says she was able to offer advice to Leah, and I think the other girl was jealous of her. Yeah. Yep, I know. I appreciate that there was two different people in that office. The one who, typical jealousy, just judgmental. What was her name? Stacy.
Stacy, yeah.
And then Lydia was like the wise one that was helping her, in like an impartial way, really. Like she saw both sides of Leah's like predicament, I think, and I appreciate that. Like, do you guys have people that you in your life who are like a little bit older than you, who are kind of like a mentor, like your mom, even your mom or whatever? I think it's always nice when God puts someone in our life or who we need when we need it, like He did for her in this book. I feel like that was a big part of Lydia's role, was to be a good friend to her when she was a little confused.
Yeah.
About what she wanted. So
a little buffer at that clinic.
Oh,
nice.
Do you think there was a point in the story where you were like, for sure knew it was going to happen at the end?
No, because at the end, I was just like, okay, well, I can understand his logic and her being very intelligent and wanting to know more and being able to give more back to people. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe he will turn her and she will realize that for her, it might be a good thing. There's something bigger out there. But
yeah, because it really wasn't until the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like literally the last few pages that Daniel and Daniel and Leah decided to make a go for it.
Yep.
What do you guys think about Anna? So, I don't know. See, Melissa says, didn't she help bring him back to his sister? That's, yeah.
Leah.
You talking about Leah or Lydia?
Leah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was helpful. That was sad to me,
Yeah.
the twins being so separated. So I was glad that they had some reconciliation in the book.
Yeah.
That was a good thing.
Yeah.
What was I going to talk about? Oh, it's escaping me. Anna.
Anna, yeah.
So, I mean, I kind of saw her rebellion coming pretty soon. There was a few lines I did think were really funny. I wrote them down. They're on my phone, so I can't look at it right now because my phone is using the for live streaming. But the one thing I thought was so funny, you'll probably relate to this. It was like the youngest child or like the third child, whatever, seems to get away with more, and they seem to be more entitled. I'm like,
Yeah, I know. That baby syndrome that we all say we're not going to do.
It's like, how's that always end up like that? Not always, but it seems to happen.
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of funny. Okay, Lydia. Yes, Melissa, yeah. So, yeah, Lydia was a good character. I think she should have been best supporting character in this book.
Yeah.
I like Lydia. She was a really good character.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Anna, I mean, once when she came home drunk, I thought, oh wow, that's really sad. And Daniel helped her. That's when I think I started when I went to Daniel, but I was like, that was really good of him.
Yeah.
To get her home. But then how she responded when she woke up in the hospital, her response to that whole thing, I was like, oh, she's not in a repentant state. She's not in a sorrowful state. She's not really sad. She cared about her people, and she thought they didn't come see her because they couldn't, but I mean, she's not even seeing it for what it is.
Right.
So yeah, so the not the next book in the series, but the book after is about her. So I do kind of want to read that. May or may not have a book club about it, but I want to see how that plays out, especially like how she figures out what she wants, who she ends up trusting, who is actually good to her. Because it's, right now she's with that family. I guess her boyfriend's family.
Yeah.
Do you hear much about that family? Like what?
No, they didn't really say anything until the very end when Leah went to their house to pick her up, and then that was it.
Okay.
And they had helped her with a lawyer and stuff like that.
Oh, right.
Said that they would help her.
Right.
Till it passed.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if it was just the love thing that really pulled her away, or just not wanting to follow the rules. Like, what would you say it was more?
Well, I mean, at the end, she talks about how it's just that curiosity, and I think it's kind of one of those things that we always want what we can't have, and so there are curiosities that we have, but we're okay with not ever
finding them out.
Yeah, having them satisfied, and there are some that we just can't go on. And she kept saying that she just wanted to go and see for herself,
right?
And see for herself. And I think the Rumspringa was not enough,
right?
Because she was still in the same area.
Right.
And so she wanted to get out and see what the world was about. So that I think her sense was that she could make a better educated decision whether or not she wanted to stay with the community, or whether or not the world really was all she thought it was going to be, and what it could offer her. Right. And so as far as that, she was kind of really stubborn about it, and kind of, I just didn't like, they were just not nice to each other when they talked. And so, she was just defiant, and instead of just saying, I want, to explore and see if the Amish life really is for me, or if I'm meant to do something different. And so, but she was just not very nice about it.
I think some people I think are more prone to have to do something to figure it out. More than just listen and take advice, they have to figure it out themselves. Like
children.
Some people just, some people have to learn the hard way. I was one of those people who had to learn the hard way, and that's just true. Yeah, I hope my kids are wiser than I was. For sure.
Yeah.
What else? What else was substantial? Anything else you can think of story? Anybody else?
With Elizabeth and her trying so hard. I thought that was such a sweet part of the story about her wanting to, do what she thought that the woman of the house should be doing to take care, and almost too much, but that perfection thing coming in and then finding out the reason why. And it was just, and even Matthew, when he finally talked to his dad about, because, and that was another thing with Daniel. I mean, he did not talk to his children because he was so hurt by,
and afraid, I think.
Yes. Yeah. And he did not want to speak her name, that he didn't even have this discussion with his children. And they had their own mindset of what they thought his role was in it.
Right.
And
what they thought he thought of them.
Right.
Nobody was talking about that in that family.
Right. And so the truth was never discussed.
Right.
And so it caused them to act out in different areas. And
that's true. What did Matthew say to him? What was like the thing he said that like broke Daniel when he was like, "Oh, I see what my son is." What did he
say? He said that he asked him, "Why didn't you come look for us?"
Oh, right. Right. That's
he just thought that he just thought that the dad abandoned him because I don't know if that's what the mom said.
I think the boyfriend was saying that.
The boyfriend, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the friend, the mom's friend.
Yeah, that's pretty awful. Like that's what like really got to Daniel, that he realized, you're right, it's a good lesson in like talking about things, and you can't just ignore trauma. Like I think that they were hoping that, he thought that not talking about it and just moving on was best, but that's not the case. Kids need to process trauma.
Yeah.
And they weren't processing it. Yeah. At least not the older ones. And then Elizabeth, what was her like kind of breaking point with Leah? Oh, there's something else. Oh, I like those parts as well. He learned from Leah. Yeah, Leah was a very good, Melissa, I agree with you, was a very good role model as far as like listening to children and respecting them and like taking the time and noticing their situations. He was kind of clueless about that stuff. Yeah. And just so afraid that he was harsh. Yeah. He was harsh, and she was kinder. Mm-hmm. She was good for them. Yeah. But yeah, so Elizabeth, when she had like it was just Leah. She was having a conversation. Do you remember how that went?
Because Leah was teaching her how to make the quilt.
Oh, right.
And she had asked, Elizabeth had said that she didn't have a cradle for her doll baby. Right. And Elizabeth, she thought, because she was praying or asking that she could go home to her dad, and because the only way that she got to go home with her dad was after the mom had passed. So she thought that she had brought on the mom's demise because of her wishing and praying to go back with her dad. So that's a hard thing for a little child to bear.
Oh yeah, it's way too big of a burden. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was sad.
Yes,
but helpful for her to get that out and talk about it. Mm-hmm. Yes, Melissa, I agree with you. She really was a good character. There's like a lot of books I read where I really love the character, like just their heart and their morality, their ethics, and she was a good one. She was, I think, confused and unsure about her situation, but she was really good with kids. I felt she was very, very good with kids. She was a good teacher. Yeah. Good teacher.
She was a good lesson in how we get certain hurts or things happen in our lives, and then we just completely put a wall up for that happiness or that dream of ours to ever happen again. That's and true. Then she just, because she got her heart broken, that she decided that she never wanted to get married, or that she wasn't going to try again. And so it was just kind of, she's a good lesson in, those things like that happen sometimes, but you
can heal and
that's not, a broken heart is not the end of your story.
No.
And it's, God's will is beyond us, and we can't just make those harsh decisions out of hurt.
Right. I agree with you. She was doing good things for the wrong reasons. I think she immersed herself into the teaching, But she was good at that, but she was closing herself off to like possibilities. And yeah, people do that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, but I think she was praying for God's will. I think she got to that point. She's like, okay, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, then let me know. There might not have been as much of that in this book, maybe versus other books I've read.
Yeah. That was another thing I noticed, that there was mention of, praying to God a lot, but not really.
It's a close relationship.
Right.
I think there's a difference between Beverly Lewis and her. Yeah. So, anybody else have anything else you want to talk about as far as this story in general? I kind of want to see, too, I will read the next book and the next book, because I want to find out about a few things, one of which is Rachel's, we're glitching out maybe. Sorry if this is glitching out, I've noticed this. It's a little grainy. Anyway, so I want to kind of see what happens with Rachel, the next thing. Did you read this part at the end? Okay, well, that's how you find out what happens.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. I was like, how do you know all this?
Yeah. And then also what happens with Johnny, like, are they going to keep him in the books and see how he does help, and if they do more about this medical condition?
Oh, yeah. I'm
curious about that. So Melissa asked, are we doing that for the next book? Yeah, we can read the next one. How long do you want to go? So what is it? This is May 1st. We're going away end of May. I mean, I can get it done between now and then. Do you want to do we're trying to figure out the next time. Yeah. I would say June 1st, but that's the day after I get back from vacation. That's not going to work for me. Probably the Saturday after. So can you look at your calendar? So yeah, so the next one is Rachel's Garden. I'm going to read a little excerpt from this because just so she knows what's happening. I'm going to surprise her. So what is June? So maybe June 4th. We can maybe do it.
So
are you?
You can do it.
No. I'll wait for you. When are you gonna be back?
Yeah, 11th or the 18th.
Okay.
On a Saturday or something.
Okay, let's do maybe the 18th of June. Do you want to read both the books or just the one?
Oh, that
Should
might be good. Both? Yeah.
Oh, okay. How about this then? No, let's do 18th.
Okay.
Okay, so June 18th.
The 19th.
Okay. Yeah. So do you think that's okay then to do it?
The day before?
All right, so June 18th is a Saturday. We'll read the next one, Rachel's Garden, and the next one after that, which is Anna's... Hang on.
Return,
that's what I thought. So we have 2 books for the next one. And I'll take our notes, and I think there actually are discussing questions for the next ones. There's no questions for this one. But I do want to read the excerpt, or do you want to read it out loud so you can be surprised?
No.
All right, so the next book is Rachel's Garden. A flicker of movement from the lane beyond the kitchen window of the old farmhouse caught Rachel Brand's eye as she leaned against the sink, washing up the bowl she'd used to make a batch of snickerdoodles, which I love. Do you like snickerdoodles?
Yeah.
Okay. A buggy, y'all. It must be Leah Glick, so she's married. Okay. Bring her 2 older kinder home for the birthday party for their teacher already. Quickly she set the bowl down and splashed cold water on her eyes. It wouldn't do to let her young ones suspect that their ma'am had been crying while she baked. Smoothing her hair back under her cap and arranging a smile on her lips, she went to the back door. But the visitor was not Leah. It was a man alone driving the buggy. Shock shattered her curiosity when she recognized the strong face under the brim of the black Amish hat. Gideon Zook. Her fingers clenched, wrinkling the fabric of her dark apron. What did he want from her? She stood motionless for a moment, her left hand tight on the door frame. Then she grabbed the black wool shawl that hung by the door, threw it around her shoulders, and stepped outside. The cold air sent a shiver through her. It was mid-March already, but winter had not released its grip on Pleasant Valley, Pennsylvania. The snowdrops she had planted last fall quivered against the back step, the white cups a mute testimony of the spring that would come eventually. Everything else was as brown and barren as her heart felt these days. I'm going to skip down to the part where we get to the part where she knows what's going on. Okay. Hang on. Okay. Where is it? Well, it's okay. She forced a smile. Gideon, welcome. I didn't expect to be seeing you today. What are you doing here is what she really wanted to say. Rachel, he inclined his head slightly, studying her face as if trying to read her feelings. His own face gave little away, all strong planes and straight lines, like the wood he worked with his carpeting business. Lines of tension radiated from his brown eyes, making him look older than 32 she knew him to be. His work-hardened hands tightened on the objects. He grasped small wooden stakes, sharpened 2 points. He cleared his throat, as if not sure what to say to her now that they were face to face. "How are you?" And the young ones? "I'm well," except that her heart twisted with pain at the sight of him, at the reminder of he brought of all she had lost. The kinder also. Mary is napping, and Leah Glick took Joseph and Becky to birthday luncheon. Blah, blah. Good. He moved a step closer to her, and she realized that his left leg was still stiff, a daily reminder for him, probably, of the accident. For instance, the scene she imagined so many times flashed yet again through her mind, stealing her breath away. She seemed to see Ezra, high in the rafters of a barn, getting below him, the old timbers creaking, then breaking, Ezra falling as the barn collapsed like a house of cards. She gasped a strangled breath, like a fish struggling on the bank of a pond. Revulsion wrung her stomach, and she slammed the door shut on her imagination. She could not let herself think of that now. It was not Gideon's fault that she couldn't see him without imagining the accident that had taken Ezra away from them. She had to talk to him sensibly, had to find out what had brought him here, and how she could get him to go away again. So, yeah. So her husband dies.
No.
That's pretty tragically way to die, and I guess he actually fell on Gideon.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the beginning of the next book.
Oh, goodness.
So yeah, we'll read the next book, then we'll read the third book, and then I think we'll stop, and we can do something else. So we'll do June 18th in the morning, and we'll have hopefully better questions and stuff to talk about. But yeah, this is a good book, just a little different than I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yes, I'm hoping besides the Rachel story that they talk about Johnny more. And maybe Anna will be talked about a little more. So it'll be fun to find out how those all pan out. That's how I feel about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything else they want to mention? Thanks for joining. Sorry we didn't have any questions. I thought there would be questions and there was not questions. So, but yeah, I mean, it was a different book.
Yeah.
It could have gone the other way. So it'd be interesting to imagine what it would have been like if she would have gone the other way, I think. Except for the whole fact that she'd be shunned.
Right. Except the sad
That
part.
part's not good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also missed like the familiar landmarks that they talk about in the other books. Like, there's no like, street or road or restaurant that like Mary Lewis will talk about. Like, I know where that is, we know where that is.
Yeah.
You know, that's fun too.
Yeah. I am kind of curious to find out more about the mom and her health condition, because I don't know, coming from a medical background, it just sounds like, I don't know, that she sounds like she's in remission more because Leah kept talking about how her last doctor's appointment, that she didn't have anybody go with her, or Leah didn't go, so she didn't know what the doctor actually had said.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious, and she's so weak, and she just seems to get more and more throughout the book. So I'm kind of curious to see if that has anything more in the later books.
I wasn't really going that way. I was assuming she just was weak, and she may be weak, and that's going to stay the same, but maybe she is actually getting worse.
Yeah.
Or maybe something
Because she, would just evade every kind of question that Leah had about it. So that kind of, usually when people don't want to talk about things, it's probably because it's not good news.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So, Dad, you're watching. Hi, Dad. My poor dad back in the hospital this week, but he's doing okay. So we had a lot of people praying for him, so we're thankful. And Mom, if you're there, hi, Mom. I can always count them, to be honest.
Yeah.
So thanks to Melissa for joining. I'm glad you liked the book. It was fun to see the up in the air to the very last. I mean, honestly, I thought for a minute she was not going to choose either. And then it was just going to be a different ending, but then love had to win out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Had to have a happy ending.
It was a very easy read, I will have to say, as far as it was a quick book.
Yes. You can do it in 3 days.
Yeah, apparently.
Okay. Well, and then we had just talked recently about going back to Lancaster in October.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's a chocolate walk in Lidditz. We're doing it. So y'all should join.
We're done with running. We're going to eat.
We're going to eat chocolate and walk.
That's right.
Please, she just ran a half marathon last Sunday. Don't let her fool you.
Whatever.
But yes.
It was brutal.
Yeah, well, you did it.
I did it.
She did it. So now we're having chocolate.
Now we're going to have chocolate, yes.
So yeah, it'll be fun. Okay, we'll see you all later, and leave comments or questions if you have any. Thanks, Melissa, for joining. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.